Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Zooty Pickups. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Off-White X Converse Chuck Taylor All-Stars. So these released for an MSRP of $130. They came out in two waves. One wave was on May 8th of 2018. It was kind of like a ninja drop on Converse.com actually. For people on the West Coast, it happened around like 5:50 a.m. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm not normally on my computer at 5:50 a.m. So I took like a massive L on that. I was literally sleeping on these shoes. So the other release was May the 14th, the Saturday of that same weekend, and that was like a wider worldwide release where a lot of tier 0 accounts had raffles, and I entered some raffles, but didn't win anything, so I took another L there. So how do I have a pair right here to talk to you guys about? Well, one of my friends got lucky and he was able to loan me a pair. So if you're watching, thank you very much. So yeah, the Chuck Taylors, these are the 10th shoe in Virgil Abloh's V10 collection to release. The other 9 shoes came out earlier last year, November of 2017, I believe. These were supposed to come out with them, but rumors say that production delays prevented them from going to market in November. So we're seeing them now in May of 2018. I mean, I guess better late than never, right? So here they are. So essentially the 10 collection is a collaboration between Nike and Off-White's Virgil Abloh. He took what he thought was 10 of Nike's most iconic silhouettes and kind of essentially did his own interpretation of each of the shoes. And I guess since Nike owns Converse, the Chuck Taylor All-Stars were fair game as well. So here we have them right here. The 10 collection actually consisted of 2 different capsules. There was the revealing capsule and the ghosting capsule. So the revealing capsule, Virgil focused on showing people parts of the shoes that you normally don't see, like the insides of the shoes and exposed panels, kind of trying to make the classic silhouettes into something new and refreshing. The ghosting pack, he used translucent materials to give a whole different type of texture to existing shoe silhouettes and give them this like super futuristic techie look. And as you might have guessed here, this shoe is part of the ghosting capsule. I would even argue that this shoe is probably the strongest embodiment of the concepts from that capsule, maybe pretty much right alongside the Off-White Zoom Flies here, which have very similar translucent properties. So, I mean, I thought it was very interesting that the Chuck Taylors were part of the ghosting capsule, because if you think about it, the Chuck Taylors are the oldest shoe in the 10 collections. Because I mean, Chuck Taylors were hitting the market like back in the 1920s, right? These were like one of the first basketball shoes ever. And with this kind of translucent ghosting overhaul, it makes the shoe look super futuristic. Like the old silhouette clashes with the modern materials. And I think that's kind of what makes this shoe a very interesting concept. So yeah, let's break it down. Let's talk about all that's going on here, because there is actually a ton of stuff going on here. Even though it kind of looks like a pair of transparent Chucks from afar, I can guarantee you there is actually a whole lot of little details here that are really cool. So first of all, let's talk about the material that the upper is consisted of. So it is stretch weave, and Nike has used stretch weave a lot since last year. For example, like in the Zoom Fly SPs, this is pretty much like all stretch weave. The Zoom Fly Off-Whites, this is pretty much all stretch weave, and a lot of the other shoes in the Off-White X Nike collection have a lot of stretch weave in it because it's like a cool translucent kind of futuristic looking material. It's actually kind of while it looks like fabric, it's kind of like pseudo fabric, because it's actually like a plastic sheet weave with microscopic ventilation holes. So it's technically not actually a fabric, but it kind of looks like a fabric and almost feels like a fabric. It's a little breathable, so it's not like you're wearing saran wrap around your feet. You can see that they kind of broke up the texture of that stretch weave. Back here you have the normal stretch weave, and towards the forefoot they've kind of done a frosted glass effect on the stretch weave. So it's not as breathable, but it kind of changes the texture of the material to give it a little bit of visual interest. So the very interesting thing about this shoe, I want to say, is the construction. So everything about this shoe is inside out. That's the concept. It's basically about doing things backwards. So normally when you put a shoe together, you have a bunch of panels and they're stitched together on the outside and they form these visible kind of panels, and you can see the borders of the panels all over the shoe, like on these Vans right here. What Virgil did for this collab, it's really interesting because so the outside of the shoe remains this monolithic sheet of stretch weave. He doesn't do anything on the outside of the shoe. While it looks like there's a lot of panels on the outside, all these panels are attached on the inside of the shoe, leaving the outside totally kind of pristine in terms of texture and feeling. And that's super interesting. So let's take this rear panel, for example, right? So you got this kind of like blue tint material coming through. And essentially what that is if you look on the inside, they have this micro suede, the white micro suede lining here. And they have a kind of like blue tinted cushiony material. So what they did was they sandwiched that blue tinted cushioning material in between the white micro suede and the outer stretch weave upper, and they just heat welded it on. So that material, that cushioning material, it's kind of trapped in between the stretch weave outer and the micro suede inside liner. And same thing kind of happens here in this heel cup. The micro suede liner kind of sandwiches this blue cushioning material in between the stretch weave upper. So it kind of creates this illusion of having this kind of heel panel and this sock collar padding panel here from the outside, but in reality there's no panels on the outside. It's just material sandwiched in between the inner liner and the outside stretch weave material. So that's super cool. That's a really cool concept, I think, that they built the shoe kind of from the inside out. So same thing is happening on the tongue here. You can see the inside is this white micro suede liner material, same as the back. And they've just sandwiched this this blue tinted foam material in between the outermost layer here, which is the stretch weave. And you get this kind of beautiful blue tinted tongue that goes all the way down to the toe. The concept continues along these eyelet reinforcements here. There is a reinforced layer on the inside of the stretch weave that is fused on, which kind of creates the illusion having this reinforced panel on the outside, but it is just welded on the inside. So on the outside, you just have this stretch weave upper with no additional panels. So the build and the execution of the concept, the ghosting concept, I believe is masterfully done on this shoe. And that's not it. There's actually a lot of little details that play on the whole inside out thing. For example, on the medial side here, we have the classic Converse All-Star badge with a little orange tab right here, and it says, Off-White, trademark for Converse, Chuck Taylor All-Star, Malden, Massachusetts, USA, C 1917. But that's not it. If you look on the inside, and you can even see it through the translucent layer here, but yeah, if you look on the inside here, you can actually see that they actually have the exact same badge and print, just done backwards. Well, the badge isn't backwards, but this is actually a badge that they put on the inside of the shoe to match the badge on the outside of the shoe. And the print, it's done just in reverse, and it's just printed on the inside of the shoe as well. So little touches like that, it's all in line with the backwards concept. So the concept doesn't just stop there, it continues throughout the rest of the shoe. You can see the bumper sticker here is also upside down. Moving to the front of the shoe, you can see that the right side says left and the left side says right. So the sides are reversed. This might be taken a little too far in my opinion. It's a little out there, but I applaud him for continuing the concept. And I guess one final thing to point out is that there's a little tag here, a little label, a little side label that's been kind of cut. The inside of the shoe also has a little bit of that side label that has been cut, like in the inside of the tongue. So I would say the continuity here is spot on. But you know what I think that is? I think they were kind of alluding to the vertical woven labels that they did on all the other 10 shoes. So because this is not a Nike shoe, they just kind of like, cut away this part and cut away the inside. So only the stitches and a little bit of the label were remaining on the shoe. I think, that's kind of what they're trying to go for here with these cut off woven labels on the inside and outside of the tongue. Other features on the upper include the famous off-white zip tie. This zip tie actually says off-white collaboration with Converse instead of Nike. See 2017 zip tie. That's incorrect because this came out in 2018. You get these shoelaces. So the default shoelaces that come with the shoe are these kind of like glossy shoelaces. Not the biggest fan of these. So they do come with 3 other shoelaces. You got this kind of like natural white shoelace, which is the shoelaces that you get for the Chuck 1970s. So I kind of like these. And then you get your neon green tipped white rope laces and your neon orange tipped black rope laces. So you got some options to kind of play around with here, as with all other off-white X Nike shoes. So now let's move on to the midsole. So as you can see, the midsole is your classic Chuck Taylor All-Star midsole, except it is done in this beautiful icy blue translucent material. And you can actually see right through the midsole. You can see through the vulcanized midsole, which they've conveniently printed on there. So you can see that the midsole actually more or less is just the sock liner that they have in here. This shoe doesn't actually have a true midsole. And you can just basically see the rubber under there right through this translucent outsole area. The outsole, as you can see, is just a classic Chuck Taylor outsole, and they just went totally all out with that translucent icy blue rubber here. The entire thing is that material. This is gonna dirty super easily, but it definitely looks really sick right out the box, like right here. And finally, on the inside of the shoe, we have a co-branded sock liner. You have the 10 logo here at the heel, and then you have the little bumpy little kind of like foot massage things towards the forefoot there. They actually didn't have these for the re-released colorways of the Vapor Maxes, but I guess since this was one of the OG 10 models, they still retain the little bumps. The insole is not removable, however, so you're kind of stuck with that if you don't like it, and you're kind of like shit out of luck there. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the features of the shoe. I know that was really long and painstaking, but there's a lot of stuff going on here, and I thought it was a pretty exciting shoe to talk about. So let's talk about how the shoe fits and how it feels. So these are Chuck Taylor All-Stars, and that means they fit large. Chuck Taylor All-Stars always fit one size bigger. So my friend is a size 12 and I'm a size 13. He got these in a size 12, and as a 13, I fit these perfectly. And that's always been the case for me with Chuck Taylors. I've always gone one size down to a size 12. So these fit pretty much exactly like any other Chuck Taylors would fit. So there is no surprise there. I recommend going one full size down for your true size. In terms of comfort, they're uncomfortable. I'm not even gonna like beat around the bush here. These shoes came out in like the 1920s. They were like the first basketball shoes ever or something like that back in like the 1920s. So you're not really gonna get much comfort. And as you can see, you can literally see the sole. You can see how thin it is. That's all you have under this like rock hard rubber here. So don't expect any sort of comfort out of these shoes. These are definitely not the shoes you want to be wearing if you're gonna be doing a lot of walking. That being said though, Chucks eventually kind of break in and become a little more comfortable. The stretch weave upper will stretch out a little bit and the upper will be comfortable, but this sole, I feel like it never really gets comfortable for me. The Chuck Taylor 2s, have that lunar lawn insole and they're a lot more comfortable, but these shoes, they don't even have a removable insole. The sock liner doesn't come out, so you're kind of stuck with this. So you're just gonna have to deal with uncomfortable sole if you're gonna wear these shoes. However, that being said, these shoes aren't exactly the type of shoes that you wear to be comfortable. These are more kind of like an exhibition shoe that you kind of show off in. So I wouldn't say comfort is like a very important part of these shoes. So yeah, I guess that segues nicely into this next segment I want to talk about, and it's wearability. A lot of people on the internet initially, when they saw the shoe, were saying they were disappointed at how translucent it was and how it was going to be difficult to wear because you could like see your socks through these shoes. But I think that's like one of the most attractive features of this shoe. So I said the same thing when I was talking about my the off-white Zoom Flies, because these are essentially like very similar in terms of like translucency. You can see right through them, and I think the translucency actually adds a lot to this shoe because basically, you know, whatever socks you wear with this shoe, you can kind of totally change the look of it. You can customize the shoe, right? So if you're wearing an all black outfit, you can wear black socks and you can kind of make the shoes black. If you're wearing an all white outfit, you can even wear white socks, make the shoes white. You can wear orange socks and have your shoes be this huge pop of color. I mean, like the possibilities are really like endless. So, you know, I really dig that you can really do anything you want with these shoes and have a ton of styling options. I think that makes these shoes incredibly versatile, if anything. So yeah, in conclusion, you know, while this shoe might not be for everyone, I think this is definitely like one of the best pieces from the Ghosting collection. I mean, just because that concept is executed so well, like the whole kind of like built from the inside out, everything is backwards, everything is upside down. The whole like flipping convention on its head type approach that Virgil took on the shoe, I think it's, you know, it's really masterfully done. I mean, if you think about it, it's almost kind of like, you know, wearable art at this point. I don't know if that's kind of like pretentious or not, but I mean, you can kind of see what he was trying to do here, and it's done really well. So yeah, like I said before, it might not appeal to everyone, but I think to people that kind of understand what is going on in this shoe, you know, it's definitely probably worth a little more. So I would definitely say it is a pretty meaningful shoe to have in the collection. So yeah, I think that pretty much concludes everything I have to say about the shoe. I'm gonna try on a couple of different pairs of socks with these shoes so you guys can kind of see what I was talking about with the whole sock customization thing. And yeah, hopefully, you know, that video kind of answered any questions you guys had about this shoe. If you have any more questions regarding the shoe, I'll try my best to answer. Please leave some comments below. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.